Thanks for tuning in. We're here with George Kailas of Prospero AI for an episode of Spotlight. George, welcome.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Looks great. Lighting's good. Snow in the background. Midwinter podcast eve. Tell us a bit about you guys.
Friends, yeah.
Tell us about what you guys do.
So Prospero's goal is to level the playing field for retail investors. And how that plays out is we've taken a lot of hedge fund type data that I've used in my past career and simplified it in a way that retail investors can easily leverage it in simplified concepts and, good designs.
So layman's terms, you make powerful tools accessible to simple folk who would like to trade on their own, but probably can't afford a fund manager or have enough money to invest with a fund manager to get that type of access, something like that?
Yeah. And I would also say a big differentiator of ours is we really want to teach as well. There's a big difference between, giving someone access to returns and teaching them how to get returns themselves, which is, I think, a very, very important distinction.
Awesome. So the core product, like people sign up and it's free. How do they?
Yeah. So we have a free app, totally free. We're going to run our first paid alerts product in the next few months. And then the newsletter is free. And I mean, the picks that we give away, they beat the market by about 50% in 2022, 2023, 79% in 2024. And we're at about 150% on an annualized basis this year. So yeah, it's free. It really works. And, we really just want to help people and earn trust.
That's amazing. So we're going to have a big fat link that is free right in the bottom of this video when it goes live. So for brainstorm's sake, today we're going to look at a buyer journey for a company called Robinhood, and we're going to pretend you're the CEO of that company, which is exciting because you are a CEO in that space and clearly know a thing or two about it. The reason we're doing this, I think global labor is changing dramatically. People can get access to on-demand skills through a variety of platforms, and our mission at Pinchforth is to make that all on demand so people can short-circuit the interview process and go right to work. So the problem now isn't who does the work. The problem is what work do you do? And that's why we're looking at the buyer journey of Robinhood today to figure out what should you build if you're in this space based on some of the things that they're doing and some things we brainstormed up to have a good discussion with you on. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, let's pull this up. Hang on 2 seconds. Cool. So this will be superimposed over the show, but the audio will be me walking you through the buyer journey. So 7 steps. The first step is just raw awareness. So for you guys with Prospero, this would be just letting people know that not only is there access to your free app, but there's educational value inside the app, and you give away picks in your newsletter for free. That's a lot of free value all the way from steps 1 to 3. So what we have down for Robinhood are a better way to invest, just ads, trade stocks for free. So this is like a step deeper. This is kind of akin to the newsletter that you guys offer. Commission-free investing for everyone. So this is step 3. This is when people are already deciding they want to invest. So this is kind of like a hybrid with your free picks newsletter. The middle capture, so when you're actually getting someone to download the app or sign up for a newsletter, for example, is actually a comparison page where Robinhood hypes up that they have no fees for trades. The proper middle of funnel, so once you have someone's contact information, you're trying to get them to make a deposit, is actually a validation incentive. So bring a friend to earn credits to trade. The first conversion, so first deposit, is a free investment with your first deposit. There's more incentive. And then the bottom of funnel is just insurance. Your funds are secured. Here's the value on the security. So what they're doing is they're starting with, there's this new way and better way to invest. It doesn't cost anything. Here's how it compares to the rest of the market. We'll give you free stuff either to refer a friend or to make your deposit. And whatever you put into our system is safe. Kind of following across the funnel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's your reaction? You're the CEO of Robinhood. I'm the marketing guy. And I come to you and say, this is what we're going to do. Where does your mind go?
So I think what I would do is I would actually roll out products of more genuine value, right? Because I think right now, man, there's a lot of, there's free trades, but you saw the cost of those free trades when they, turned off buys on, GameStop and AMC and other stocks, right? They're really free. If, you've got institutions caught in a short squeeze
Yeah.
and you can't keep applying the pressure because Robinhood's bailing them out, right? That
Oof.
actually seems like a much higher cost to me than, a small fee on a trade. And I think what a lot of people don't realize about it as well is that even when you make you submit a market order to buy something, Robinhood is quite often grouping you and a bunch of other people's trades. And if you're trying to buy something and the market price is $350, so they might let institutions buy at $350, and then you end up buying at $360, and those little amounts add up.
So they're not calling it a spread, but it really is a spread, effectively.
Yeah, it is, and it's a non-visual one, right?
Yeah.
And that spread gets bigger the faster things move, right? Like if you have a stop order on your stock that says, okay, if it goes to 40, like I want to sell. If things are moving fast, you might have that stop order at 40 and it's 33 before you actually get exited, because they're actually also letting other people jump in front of those, especially in fast moving situations. So the biggest cost, the highest leverage situations, is when they're screwing you over the most. I will say on the other side, like there seems to be a huge disconnect in the world now between like marketing and what actually,
Value.
respect for something. Because there was a big outcry when they turned off the trade button, but seemingly everybody's forgotten about that. Robinhood's doing very well. A couple of SEC fines later, then everybody is just there.
Because it's easy.
Yeah.
So like when you look at the funnel, like the first three are like, there's a better way to invest, trade stocks for free, comparison shopping. Like their value is clearly that it's easy. But to your point, they're not actually giving you anything. They're just telling you that it's easy. What I like about what you guys do is you give away value for free. Before anyone's paying you money, they're getting information and picks that they can use immediately. I think that's always the best way to bring people together. I just think you have to be aggressive and confident to do that. I think a lot of CEOs today put everything of value behind some kind of pay gate, and they lose a lot. So I imagine it's working pretty well for you, especially if the return's that high. I imagine it's a pretty attractive way to get people in front of you.
No, I mean, we have very, very happy users. Like we do, like where I would like to be modeled more like Robinhood is it can be a bit of a learning curve. And that's why we're expanding our products a little bit, because like I've had plenty of conversations, and it's true. Like the way they, make, say, credit spreads on options, they make that really easy. They visualize the risk, I would say, pretty well, because a lot of times they're not giving you the total picture. They do it pretty well, and they make it look cool. But yeah, I mean, that does enable people to trade options in ways that they might not able to. But the other side is, like one of the funny things that that I'll say about people that complain about like securities laws and institutions. And I was like, actually, like the biggest thing that I see violated is that people are supposed to validate that you have a certain amount of experience to trade options, right? And that's just so it's like, we want to talk about laws, like most of you shouldn't be trading. You shouldn't be trading options, wouldn't be allowed to in like the old world. Like I remember like when I started trading options, getting grilled by these brokers and like having to ask questions about my experience and things like that. And like, that is what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Citadel's making money.
They all are, right? It's a new market, new capitalization for all of them. Well, I wonder for you guys, before people even get into the app, you're here doing a podcast. Do you have a show of your own? Forgive me for not knowing.
Yeah. We do 2 live streams a week.
And what do you talk about?
Actually, so where the app and our newsletters are much more tactical, our live streams are much more like high level, talking about stories, policy, macro decisions. Occasionally we'll get into we do get into individual stocks, but that's almost always not like as much, here's what we're seeing in our signals, but talking about the strategy, the leadership. I think that stuff is way more interesting live than if we were just, reading our app or even some of like the screeners that we put in the letters. Yeah, we actually, we do very well on TikTok. And what's funny is like, I don't even use TikTok, but basically I do the live streams and someone that works with us
Promotes it. Yeah.
puts them into shorts. And like, yeah, we have like, we only have, I think like 2,000 followers on YouTube, but we have like 31 on TikTok, and we started that later. So, TikTok is a great discovery platform.
That's wild. That's super wild. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I think even more than stories or investment discussions, just people hearing you talk about the products that are on the market would be a great feeder. Again, you probably don't have the time to do that on a weekly basis, but whether it's you or someone else on the team, I think that's a rare voice in the market, someone who's an ally for you, who's from the institutional space, just telling you what these products are actually doing and how to think about it. Because I'm sure like there's an appropriate approach for Robinhood, and there's an environment where Robinhood makes sense for the little guy. And there's no one with a financial incentive to say that, and probably other than you guys, because you want to be in the education space.
Yeah.
That's a super high value thing, I think. But you're already deeper than that. Like you're giving away picks, you have your newsletter, you have a free app, you already have 2 live streams. That's a really value driven funnel. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we say like, trust me, we've probably like every few months we go through the Robinhood thing, or we go through some of the things that other brokers are doing, or what's going on the institutional side. Like, because I actually think that's the biggest thing that people don't really understand. A lot of retail investors don't understand exactly what institutions are doing overall, and like against them, and like there tends to be a mindset that institutions are all out to get them. And one of the things, I was actually involved in the AMC trade early on, and did well, because I timed it right and I saw something, but that continued, and there's still people like deep in that. But one of the things that I always impressed upon people was people would always say, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. And I would always be like, and my moderator started to say this, which was hilarious. Who is they? Right? Who is they? You realize that on every side of a trade, there are big institutions on both sides, betting for and against it, everything. And what a lot of people don't know about GameStop is how much money BlackRock made off of it. Like, I think they cleared $1 billion just lending shares out to be shorted. And then obviously when shares get pulled, that creates more of a short squeeze. So like, retail does start some of these things, but they don't happen like GameStop or AMC or any of them without institutions piling in. And that's the thing that's the biggest disconnect I see with like the average retail investor and like what we try to educate on, where it's just like, no, it's institutions are worried about each other. They're not worried about you. Like, you might get stepped on accidentally, like by a giant here and there, but like, they're worried about like fighting other giants and robots and giant robots. They're not worried about you. And you're best to understand how to work in that system that isn't going to change, instead of like, a mindset of like, they're out to get me, or they are like, or I'd say the worst thing, which is like, because GameStop happened and a bunch of retail investors continually thinking that they deserve to win these like little like, short squeezes that they continue to because they're getting together. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You're still a fraction of the size of these institutions.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, it's awesome that you guys are positioning yourselves to be the ally in this. You explain how it works and show people how to see, and also, put out a message that, don't be afraid of this thing, because you're in the middle, competing against other people, not against these big guys. So people go to your site, download the app, go to the App Store. Where do they get in touch with the company the best?
Yeah. So our site, there's 2 main funnels. There's the app that's going to be more self-directed. Like if you have experience investing, the app might be better for you. And then there's the newsletter that's much more guided. We show how we use the signals, how we make picks. A lot of people like both. And say if you're more experienced, the app is going to be more useful because that updates every 3 minutes. And newsletters, we have 2 a week for the investing letter, 5 for the letter, so lower frequency.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. We'll get links out to both of those. This was really neat. We looked at a big company everybody knows, and we talked about a couple hooks that you're actually using in your business. So you're not throwing out ideas that are hypothetical. You're really doing it. And that's what we love to see. So thank you so much for giving us some time.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. This is great.